I'm Brianna Smith. I'm a second grade teacher. Today I selected an excerpt from chapter 1 of Sarah Plain and Tall. I chose this text for my second grade students to demonstrate how to make inferences about characters in a text. I will model how to demonstrate differences in points of view and perspective by speaking in different voices for characters when reading dialogue. From this closed reading, students will learn how to identify point of view and perspective of a text, as well as compare and contrast perspective and point of view. This is considered a complex text according to the Common Core State Standards Appendix B. The Lexile level of this text is 540 with a guided reading level of R. For my students, I would ask them to read the text for the first time for pleasure to understand what the text is mostly about. Watch as I read. Did Mama sing every day? Asked Caleb. Every single day? He sat close to the fire, his chin in his hand. It was dusk, and the dogs lay beside him on the warm hearthstones. Every single day, I told him, for the second time this week, for the 20th time this month, the 100th time this year, and the past few years. And did Papa sing too? Yes, Papa sang too. Don't get so close, Caleb. You'll heat up. He pushed his chair back. It made a hollow scraping sound on the hearthstones, and the dogs stirred. Lottie, small and black, wagged her tail and lifted her head. Nick slept on. I turned the bread dough over and over on the marble slab on the kitchen table. Well, Papa doesn't sing any more, said Caleb. A long log broke and crackled in the fireplace. He looked up at me. What did I look like when I was born? You didn't have any clothes on, I told him. I know that, he said. You look like this. I held up the bread dough in a round, pale ball. I had hair, said Caleb seriously. Not enough to talk about, I said. And she named me Caleb, he went on, filling in the old familiar story. I would have named you Troublesome, I said, making Caleb smile. And Mama handed me to you in a yellow blanket and said... He waited for me to finish the story and said, I sighed, and Mama said, Isn't he beautiful, Anna? And I was, Caleb finished. Caleb thought the story was over. I didn't tell him what I really thought. He was homely and plain. He had a terrible holler and horrid smell, but these were not the worst of him. Mama died the next morning. This was the worst thing about Caleb. Isn't he beautiful? Her last words to me. I had gone to bed thinking how wretched he looked, and I forgot to say good night. Now, the second time I read this passage, I'm going to be closely looking for things that I found that were interesting, surprising, important, words I didn't understand, and thoughts, wonderings, and connections. So watch as I read again. Did Mama sing every day? I'm going to underline sing because I think that's important. Asked Caleb. Every single day? I'm going to underline that again because he's talking about the singing. He sat close to the fire, his chin in his hand. It was dusk, and the dogs lay beside him on the warm hearthstone. I'm going to circle that word because I really don't know what it means. Every single day? I'm going to underline that again because they say it again. So I'm going to go back and put a star by that. I think that's important that they're repeating this question. I told him for the second time this week, the 20th time this month, the 100th time this year, the past few years. Did Papa sing too? Underline sing because now it's Papa singing. Yes, Papa sang. Don't get so close, Caleb. You'll heat up. He pushed his chair back and made a hollow scraping sound on the hearthstone. Let's circle that word again because I'm not quite sure what that word is and what it means. And the dog stirred. Lottie, small and black, wagged her tail and lifted her head. Nick slept on. I turned the bread dough over and over on the marble slab on the kitchen table. Well, Papa doesn't sing anymore, said Caleb very softly. I'm going to put a star by that and underline sing because I think that's important that he's asking about the singing. Mom doesn't sing. Dad doesn't sing. I feel like that's important to the text. A log broke apart and crackled in the fireplace. He looked at me. What did I look like when I was born? You didn't have any clothes on, I told him. I know that. Right here, I'm going to put a C for making a connection. Because I made a connection. I have a younger brother, and I used to tease him too. So I know right there that Anna's just teasing Caleb. You look like this. I held the bread dough up in a round, pale ball. I had hair, said Caleb seriously. Not enough to talk about, I said. She named me Caleb. He went on, filling in the old familiar story. I would have named you Troublesome. Gonna put another C there, because I made a connection of making fun of my younger brothers and thinking about how they were trouble. And Mama handed me to you in a yellow blanket and said, he waited for me to finish the story and said, so I'm going to put a W, because I'm wondering why Anna keeps repeating and is hesitating to finish the story. I sigh, said Mama, said, isn't she beautiful? Isn't he beautiful, Anna? And I was, Caleb finished. Caleb thought the story was over. I didn't tell him what I really thought. He was homely. I'm going to circle homely because I don't know what that word means. He had a terrible holler and a horrid smell. But these were not the worst parts of him. Mama died the next morning. That was the worst part of Caleb. So I'm thinking that the reason why Anna didn't want to finish telling the story and tell the story is because their mom died shortly after Caleb was born. Isn't he beautiful, Anna? Her last words to me. I had gone to bed thinking how wretched he looked, and I forgot to say goodnight. So I'm going to star that part because I think that's important. And I can infer from this reading that I think that Anna and Caleb have very different points of view of why their father no longer sings. And Anna knows more than Caleb, and she hasn't told him yet. And so as we continue reading this story, we'll figure